But my name is Jordan King. I'm the Assistant Director of Student Services at the School of Education, and myself, along with the Admissions and Enrollment Office and the Alumni Development Office, are happy to host one of many of our Tips for Alumni series webinars this year. And so we're starting out with the Department of Health and Human Development. And so I'm going to take a step back and allow our Associate Professor of Practice and our Associate Co-Chair of the Health and Human Development Department, Dr. Elizabeth Nagle, take over here today and be our moderator. So without further ado, Betsy, I will pass it over to you and allow you to get the panel started.
Thank you, Jordan. Thanks for the great welcome. And it's my pleasure to be here today, and it's my extra pleasure to be around such fine alums and colleagues. And it's great to see all of you, and I look forward to hearing and talking with you in addition to everyone else today. So I'm going to be asking the panel questions, and we're all going to share our perspective about our experience in health and human development and School of Education. And I'm going to kind of guide us with some questions, and we'll just kind of see how it goes. And we might have some questions along the way, but that's perfectly fine. I thought that I would, oh, my lights just went out. I thought that I would start with a question about our experience and why we chose our program. And I was thinking that I might actually just share my experience first and then hand it off. But then after that, I think I would like to have my colleagues chime in after we ask questions. So our first question today, it's please share a brief introduction of yourself and why you chose the School of Education and a degree in the Health and Human Development Department. And as Jordan mentioned, I'm currently I am associate professor and program director for the undergraduate program and co-associate chair of the department. Been at Pitt for many years, and I'm kind of smiling at this question because my personal trajectory is a little bit almost the opposite, I think, of what a lot of you experienced, in that years and years ago, I was hired by Pitt as a clinical instructor, and I did not have my final degree. I had a master's of science, and I was director of aquatics here at Pitt for many years and taught a full-time load. But I had left a PhD program and had this wonderful opportunity and started to inquire about the PhD program as soon as I got here, because I thought, oh goodness, I definitely want to finish my PhD. And little did I know how fortunate I would be to have the opportunity to be in this department, to study under some of the best researchers and scholars as part of the doctoral program here. As as I was working and earning my PhD along the way, and so that's kind of my story. I sort of fell upon it in a way by accident, but it actually ended up being a blessing and an honor, and very grateful for the opportunity to finish my PhD at Pitt. And I loved it so much that I actually stayed, and my position changed over the years. And now I'm in academia and administration, but it was actually very, very fortunate, and I consider myself very, very lucky to have that opportunity to earn my PhD. So here at in exercise physiology here in the HHD department. So I'm going to be quiet and hand it over. Who else would like to share? I'm looking at the screen. How about Allison?
Yeah, I can go ahead and start. Can everyone hear me okay? Perfect. So my name's Allison. I graduated from the HHD department in 2024. I graduated with a degree in applied developmental psychology, and currently I am sitting at LaSalle University, where I am currently pursuing my PsyD. The reason why I ended up feeling drawn to just kind of this department and this major, it really honestly is due to my freshman year college counselor, who was smart enough to know that this degree existed. And I said very generally that I want to work with psych and I want to work with kids. And she recommended this department. And frankly, I'd never looked back. I really ended up loving the department and getting really involved while I was at Pitt. I was a student ambassador. And I really just kind of fell in love with the department. So everyone here is awesome. And I really miss working with you guys. And I'm happy to be here. And HTTP.
Great. How about Brianna?
Hi, everyone. I'm Bri Hennigh. I am currently a physician assistant student here at Pitt, but prior to that, I did pursue an undergraduate degree in exercise science. And I love that experience so much. I was not done learning that I stayed and pursued a master's degree in clinical exercise physiology, also within the Department of Health and Human Development. And how I found this program was kind of also through my advisor, who was also smart enough to know about the program. And I met with Dr. Nagle actually, and she presented the curriculum to me, and it really had this holistic approach to health and wellness. And I really loved everything that the curriculum had to offer. So I was really excited. And once I was involved, I couldn't stop being involved. And I was also a student ambassador. And yeah, like I said, I stayed and pursued a master's degree. I'm really thankful to be here with you all today.
Oh, great, thank you. Dr. Williams, Dr. Williams, I think, really liked Pitt because she earned 3 degrees here at Pitt. So let's hear from Dr. Williams. Thank you.
Yes, absolutely. I have them all hanging in my office now, and it wasn't plan A, honestly. I did go to Pitt as an undergrad with the intention of becoming a physical therapist. And when that didn't work, I applied. Sorry, well, let me start at the beginning. I found exercise science as an undergraduate major because I just needed a BS to go to PT school. And it included all of the natural sciences that are prerequisites for physical therapy school. And so when I got to the end of my bachelor's in exercise science, I applied to physical therapy school and I didn't get in. And of course, at that point, that was like devastation that what I wanted wasn't coming true. But it was a wonderful redirect in my life because then I stayed. I got a master's in exercise physiology. And that's when I fell in love with what I was learning and realized I wanted a career in exercise physiology. And it was my professors and my advisors through undergrad and grad school that also seemed, at least when they were at work, that they loved what they were doing. And I wanted to be a part of people that were just, living in their passion. And so I've pursued the PhD once I realized that being a professor was the way I was going to stay in this field, to love it, to teach it, to help other people love it. And so uniquely, I stayed at Pitt for my bachelor's, master's, and PhD, all in the School of Ed, all in the same department. And although it's not common, it turned out to be the best path I could have ever taken.
And Dr. Williams, what's your current position now? Did you say
I'm an
that?
assistant professor of exercise science. I'm at Mercy University in New York.
Awesome. Rachel.
Hi, everyone. So great to be with you today. My name is Rachael Stowe. I have 2 degrees from the Pitt School of Education. I have a bachelor's of science from HHD in applied developmental psychology. And then I just graduated in May with my master's of arts in education policy, which is from a different department, Education Foundations, Organization and Policy. I currently serve as a program assistant for a project called the Partnership for Student Success at Johns Hopkins University, but I'm excited to announce that I'll be coming back to Pitt. I just recently acquired a full-time position as a workforce coordinator's partnership coordinator in the School of Education. So I'm excited to come back for that. Kind of similar to Bri and Allison, my advisor in undergrad also led me to a degree in HHD. I originally came in pre-med and kind of realized that I didn't want to be in school for what felt like a million years. So I was looking for kind of a switch. I went to go speak to her and she knew I loved working with children. I loved kind of being out in the community and helping people. And so she thought the ADP degree was a really great kind of alignment for me. I loved my experience in the School of Education so much, and I'm excited to talk about it more with some of these more questions.
Well, congratulations and welcome back. Wonderful. And Dr. Quinn, great to see you. Glad you're here joining us.
Yeah, hey everyone. Sorry I'm a minute late. Thanks for having me.
Do you have the question or not? No. Do you want me to read the question? Okay.
Yeah, so my name's Tyler Quinn, obviously. I'm an assistant professor in the School of Public Health in West Virginia University. And I did my master's, PhD, and bachelor's at Pitt in health and human development, or health physical activity as it was then. Now I do research and teach at the university, mostly in biostatistics and epidemiology of physical activity.
Terrific. And congratulations on your win. We'll get you next time, right?
I was still wearing, I was wearing my Pitt shirt. Do not worry.
Oh, good. Okay. Loyalties. All right, I'm going to transition to the next question, everyone. And anyone who would like to jump in and, answer, feel free. Is there something you wish you knew? Let's start again. Is there something you wish you knew before entering a degree program in HHD? And if so, what is it and why? Is there something you wish you knew before entering the program? Any takers?
I can go first. I think the biggest thing for me is that I wish I would have known that HHD, like just being in that program, it doesn't mean that you necessarily have to go into something that's like very specific to the field moving forward. So, for example, yes, I got my bachelor's in applied developmental psychology, but then I got my master's in education policy, which they're related in a lot of ways, but it's not necessarily like a traditional career track that a lot of people take. I feel like when I started the program in HHD, I kind of felt like, okay, I could maybe be a child life specialist, I could maybe work in psychology, but I never really imagined all the possibilities that would open up for me just being part of a program that has such a development-based focus. And so I feel like I wish I would have like kind of opened myself up more in undergrad to more career possibilities before kind of like taking a break and then going back.
Who else would like to share?
I can go. I think similarly to what Rachel shared, one of the things that I think is really awesome about the ADP degree is how you can really define what it means for yourself and sort of you can forge your own path going forward. And it has a really great foundational understanding, not only in psychology, but in policy and in a lot of different systems work, which I think is applicable in a ton of different areas. And one piece of sage advice that I was given in, I think it was the spring of my junior year that I wish I'd known going in, was that when you go to job interviews, like you have the power to explain your degree and explain what you want to do. And the beautiful thing about ADP is you have that freedom. It doesn't lock you in. And I think that would have reduced a lot of anxiety kind of going into for me, the graduate application process, or I can see it also reducing anxiety in the job search because it can make you a great fit in a lot of places.
Great. Thank you, Allison. Who else?
I totally agree with the other panelists. Like I said, I am currently in physician assistant school, and that is the path that I chose to take. And the programs that I participated in really helped give me a background in preventative medicine and how to approach all patient populations. Whereas some of my peers, they work as exercise physiologists, they work in research, they work in corporate wellness and health. And so there are just so many different opportunities and varieties of career paths. So always keep that in mind.
That's great advice.
I can go. I think what I wish I knew is that the thing that makes you different, or at least makes me different, in the field is what makes you valuable in the workforce. So I guess similar to what others were saying, that you kind of can have this exploration of different career paths, but also just really kind of leaning into your own personal interests and what makes you different from your peers, because ultimately that's who you're going to be competing against for jobs. So leaning into that difference in whatever skill set you have or whatever kind of background you have really has helped me.
Great advice. And I agree with all of you. Looking back, I wish that I were aware and was more willing to explore a lot of the collaborations and opportunities that were at Pitt at that time. And there's so many more now. And kind of thinking outside the box, kind of getting out of your comfort zone and leaning on faculty to help, explore that a little bit. I think that's what I wish I knew a little bit more about going in, but all of your points are well taken, and I think that you all gave some great advice. All right, next question. How has your degree accelerated your career growth?
I can go. So I will say that both my undergraduate program in exercise science and my master's program in clinical exercise physiology really helped me get to physician assistant school, but also helped me get through the curriculum that I am participating in now. Throughout my master's degree, I had an amazing professor who taught clinical exercise physiology, and I gained a really strong foundation in the cardiovascular and pulmonary systems, which has been really helpful to me in physician assistant school. And I also had a phenomenal course where I learned about all of the social determinants of health, because that is so important no matter where you're working in health and wellness, to understand that each patient, client, whoever it may be, needs to be approached at the individual level. And there are so many factors that we need to take into consideration. So it's really helped me in that aspect of pursuing my career. And then all of the opportunities that I was able to gain along the way. I participated in a clinical internship in a pulmonary rehab. I participated in research with the Hillman Cancer Center in exercise oncology. I participated in a health and wellness internship that involved kind of community outreach towards college campuses and local businesses, providing them health and wellness information. And like I said, I also was a graduate student assistant and got to instruct fitness classes. So all of those experiences just kind of have led me to be a better person in general, and make me really successful in achieving my career goals.
Oh, it's wonderful to hear how much you feel it's helped you, Bri. That's fantastic. Thank you. Who else would like to go? Allison? Dr. Williams?
Yeah, I can go next.
Should we go with Dr. Murphy?
I guess I do love the fact that we spell our names the same though, Allison. That rocks. We have names that can be spelled so many different ways. My degree definitely helped me in immense ways. There's nothing I can't do in my field because I have a terminal degree in my field. And so the University of Pittsburgh School of Education housing all of those degrees was immensely helpful because everything I wanted or needed was all in the same place, all in the same school. And so I just got to build stronger and stronger relationships with my classmates, my advisors, my professors, in the School of Ed as I was learning and growing also from their professional networks, like attending conferences with my advisors and faculty when I was in graduate school, and just meeting other professors. It sounds crazy when you're in school, like you want to meet professors from other schools, but those are the beginnings of your professional network and you're collaborating with them. I got my ideas for my master's thesis and my dissertation topics from research presentations that I heard from conferences. And I would have never been in those sessions hadn't I gone and sat alongside my advisor who was also there. It also helps to ask questions when you're a student. You don't understand everything that's happening right in that moment, and you're there with your advisor, and so you can lean into things, with some help. But then you can also build a relationship with that researcher that you just heard their presentation, and then figure out, hey, how can I blend this into what I'm learning and what I'm going to do in my future for research projects, maybe to write grants, but also just future collaborations. And so I feel like my degree is it's priceless. And the University of Pittsburgh School of Education is world renowned. It really is in all of our departments, all of our schools at the University of Pittsburgh. So when we go to conferences, we exercise physiologists. When we're at conferences and we say we graduated from the University of Pittsburgh, people listen. And that's all you need sometimes to take your next step in your career.
Allison, real quick, you just took my answer. That was exactly how I was going to frame it as well. And although for my career, I've stayed at Pitt, I did have the opportunity to leave Pitt, and I did interview at some other schools and I was offered some positions. And again, that having that Pitt degree carries so much weight and is so highly regarded. And so it really tremendously helped me with potential opportunities that I had along the way as well. Rachael, Allison, Tyler.
Yeah, I'm happy to answer this one as well. I feel like for me, my degree in ADP kind of really started the foundation for my work now. So right now I am kind of focused entirely on partnerships between higher education, K-12 systems, and the community. So I work to kind of develop these partnerships that help students in their communities get the support that they need to succeed and thrive long term. And when I was getting my degree in ADP, that's kind of the first time I really heard like a community engaged approach to working with children, like involving, you know, systems of higher ed, parents, other people of support in the community. So I feel like that really kind of helped accelerate my career by just kind of introducing me to a world that now like I basically live in all the time. I would say the other thing is just having kind of that child development approach to the policy world is something that a lot of people look for when you go into the ed policy field. A lot of people come from like a political science background, or which has its own advantages, but when you come with like a specific knowledge of child development and just community development in general, that's something that kind of separates you from the rest of the field. So I feel really grateful to kind of have that in the back of my mind, and it influences everything that I do in my space now.
Thank you
I
very much.
completely agree. I'm sorry, I interrupted you. I completely agree with what you just said. I think especially kind of like you said, that developmental lens that we have from my ADP degree, I have found to be really, really valuable in graduate school. Because it sort of has not only helped me when I'm working with children and working with families, but also just across the lifespan, and understanding that these things that happen in youth just can affect you and affect the way that you move throughout the world and throughout different systems your entire life. And I think that has really helped me to be really integrative and just really understand how to like not necessarily treat patients, but just how people operate in the world. And I think that definitely has brought a unique perspective to my classes. And then kind of bouncing off what Dr. Williams said, the mentorship was also so wonderful. I was able to make a connection with UPMC Student Services for Teens at Risk Center. And that was something that I was able to connect with through not only my ADP advisor, but also a mentor, Dr. Chris Scanlon, whose mentor was the founder of the Star Center. And so really, I also reaped the benefits of the really huge professional network. And me and Dr. Scanlon have remained close friends. And it's kind of wonderful to see that family continue, even though we're both graduated and in different places now.
So I'll speak to when I did my master's degree at Pitt, I then got a job quickly after that at the Centers for Disease Control, doing some research in occupational health, and that position was directly recommended to me by several faculty in the department. Fred Goss, who's no longer in the department, he worked with that group for a long time, and he gave me a good recommendation and a shove out the door to go to explore that opportunity. And it ended up being the kind of first step on a very fruitful path of research for me. And when I was kind of considering going back to do a PhD, I didn't really understand what my career growth could be. So taking that step back to Pitt allowed me the space and mentorship and just support to kind of explore what the path of research could be at a broader scale. And just that kind of space and support to do that at Pitt was really helpful for me, so that I could expand my version of what my job was to this broader field and add value to the field in a more broad way. So both in that first phase of getting that kind of first job and then mentoring through to a more professional phase of my career has been really helpful through Pitt.
Tyler, great. Everyone answer? I think everyone did, right? Correct? Okay. All right. Next question. What was your experience like as a student in the School of Education here at Pitt?
I can go. So it was absolutely fantastic. Throughout my undergrad experience, I got involved in something called the Exercise Science Organization, which I was able to become the president of. And through that organization, we did a lot of outreach, both within the Pitt community and the greater Pittsburgh community. And it was a great way to connect with people within my program and also outside of my program on campus, and kind of interact with prospective and incoming students. It was a really cool experience to mentor them. And then I also was a student ambassador for the School of Education, and that was an amazing experience talking to alumni and other students within the School of Education, and just kind of hearing and sharing each other's experiences was great. And then when it comes to the faculty, they are absolutely amazing. I cannot speak highly enough of the professors that I've had over the years. And I would just say overall, it was an absolutely fantastic experience.
I would say the same thing. When I did my degree in ADP, it's a lot larger of a program now, but I was one of 12 students in my cohort. So very small. We were all extremely close to each other, just having that support system around you, doing the classes together, going out, getting those internships, getting those practicums, and just being able to have those relationships with other people that are on the same path as you and just kind of being able to share that. The most amazing supportive faculty. I'm still very close to a lot of them. And they encouraged me to come back to my master's. So really grateful for that as well. And then kind of like Bri said, just the availability to get into clubs and have that leadership experience, I think really just kind of enhances the whole experience. At least for me, I feel like I was really able to kind of develop other skills outside of the classroom that made me more marketable when I went on the job market afterwards. And I think those are things that a lot of people look for in applicants today. So I just feel like the School of Ed really provided me with a super well-rounded opportunity for academics, those personal relationships, and then also kind of those leadership and development skills.
When I was at school, we had lab in Trees Hall, and we were expected to get involved in research. And I remember being an undergrad and thinking that, oh, I'll just go in and be a fly on the wall. And that was no one else's expectation. When I went into the lab, I was either collecting data or being a subject or learning how to calibrate machines or, something was expected of me all the time. And that's a great thing because we all learn actively, and there was no separation between the undergrad, the master's student, or the PhD student. When we got into the lab, we were just all researchers. We were just all physiologists. And I learned so much and looked forward to just being in the lab, and found myself just kind of showing up and figuring out hey, what's going on now? Who's doing what? And it was great because the students that were ahead of me, when I was in the master's and they were in the PhD, everybody wanted to share what they were learning and what they were doing. So every opportunity that you were just present, you learned something. And then you just carried that into your own experiences. And, sometimes people were doing research that you might not have been interested in the exact topic, but research is research when you're learning. And so that didn't matter either, whether you were technically on their research team, or you here for your, class credit, or were you just curious and walked in the door. So, hey, put you to work. I remember one time we got a new piece of equipment in the lab, and one of those days I just walked in and they were like, hey, let's try it out. And they put me on the new exercise bike that we got, and it ended up being a Wingate test, and I almost passed out. And it's something that I'll never forget because, I got to experience that, and it was the same situation where we were all in it together, and we were a family, and we were going to learn, even if we were troubleshooting in ways that were unsafe sometimes.
Yeah, I think to the community part, the exercise phys and exercise science programs are all kind of on their own part of the campus up at the top of the hill, as you all know. And I think that provides this very unique bubble of Pitt where we have this community that is kind of just doing our own thing up at the top of the hill, being able to kind of interact deeply with one another, have a deep connection with community. And that really, for me as a student, was helpful, right? Because you're all in either Trees Hall or the Oak Hill Lab all the time. And as Dr. Williams said, you have to work together to solve problems. And I really felt that community when I was a student at Pitt in all levels, because of both the culture and people, but also just the geography of the program was really helpful and interesting.
I'd like to add. In fact, I just chime in wearing my faculty hat for a second. We do really try to make a huge effort to engage our students outside the classroom. And it's what Allison and Tyler both talked about with hands-on experience, laboratory experience, community engagement, which Bri touched on, and student organizations. And we're also very excited to be partnering. We just got approved for an initiative, Exercises Medicine on Campus, in affiliation with ACSM, which is going to be a tremendous opportunity both for our students and for the university community. And we're very excited to be anticipating a more affiliation with student rec. And if you're not all aware, the gorgeous brand new 8th floor student rec center just opened literally, and they're calling it the Student Rec and Wellness Center. So they're housing a lot of different entities within that building, but I think it's going to bring not just brand new shiny equipment, but a lot of great opportunities for our students as well. We did have a question in the chat, but I'm thinking it might get answered with our next questions. The question was, as a new student, doctorate degree in health and physical activity in the School of Education at Pitt, what advice would you give me to shape my career in being a professional in this line of work, hoping that one day I get to be a professor in HPA? It's from Yas.
I can answer because I may have a similar career path, right? I did my PhD in HPA and now I'm a professor in HPA, well, specifically in exercise science, just at a different institution. So one piece of advice I would give to a new PhD student in general is start looking for your novel research question for your dissertation from day one. You don't have to wait until you finish coursework or go through your if they still have this process, but go through your comprehensive exams. Like, you don't have to knock every domino down one by one. It's a layered experience. You have coursework, you have research experience, and of course you have your own original research that will serve as your dissertation. And so everything you do, start looking for that novel research question that you're actually going to turn into your dissertation. One, because you got to find your niche, you got to find your passion in the subdisciplines of the overall topics that you're studying. And you're going to spend a lot of time with it being, the dissertation research. So you got to make sure that you really know everything there is to know about it in the published research, and it really is something that you crave to know more about. The dissertation process, it's going to be arduous before it's over, but you always want to love it, even when it gets hard. And it takes time to find what you love, such that you still want to do it even when it gets hard. And so that's why I say start early. Time is on your side, at the beginning. And there's nothing stopping you from reading research or just getting more curious about anything that you find in a conversation in the lab or an email that you get or someone else's research or in all of the above. So that would be my advice for your student experience. Along with possibly becoming a professor in the future, my advice would be to do as much teaching as you can while you're still a student. One of the things that I did while I was a student was I don't know if you still have it, but I signed up for a teaching practicum at Pitt. And so volunteer yourself to teach. And you'd be teaching younger students, but you'd be teaching them things that you've already learned. And just get as much teaching experience under your belt before you graduate as you can. If there are any courses outside of HPA, but still in the School of Education about teacher training, take those courses. Teaching practicums, it sounds simple, but how to put together a syllabus, how to just lesson plan, how to create authentic assessments, anything related to teaching and learning science, take advantage of. Because once you get out and you get your first job as a professor, you're going to be expected to know how to do those things already. But if you don't pull them into your educational experience, it'll be a bigger learning curve for you once you get your first teaching position. And you just want to be able to have a stronger foundation than you would if you didn't have those experiences. You're always going to get better at being a professor all the years, decades that you do it, like myself. But that was probably the best thing that I ever did, was volunteer myself for teaching and reaching out and finding other opportunities to learn how to teach. as much as you need to learn the science of exercise physiology or whatever else you're studying, you need to learn the science of teaching and learning also. Do that concurrently in your PhD program.
That's excellent advice. Appreciate that, Allison. Thank you. I'm trying to be mindful of time, everyone, because we want to give a little bit of time for our guests today to ask any additional questions, and Tyler's going to jump in at the end. So I'm down to 3 questions, and I'm going to pick the last question right now to cover because I think it's important. I think you can all, shed a lot of wisdom when it comes to this topic. So here's the question. If there was one piece of advice you would share with those in Health and Human Development Department or those interested, what would it be and why?
I can go first on this one. I would say take every opportunity that you possibly can. There's so many clubs to get involved with, research, practicums, or internships. If you have the opportunity to go to a conference, present research with either a PI you're working with or a professor, take that opportunity there, especially if you're in grad school. There's financial assistant opportunities to be able to go to conferences, take coursework so everyone has like required courses, but there's also, like electives and things like that. Take coursework that makes you think outside of the box, or that you might necessarily not like go to immediately, but that you might be a little bit interested in. Just kind of take every opportunity that you can, especially like networking, because those are the things that are really going to give you that kind of comprehensive, well-rounded experience. And I think you'll leave feeling a lot more prepared to kind of enter the workforce or get your next degree or see what's next if you kind of have a breadth of experience under your belt.
Thanks, Rachel. I would say, again, wearing my faculty hat, just to completely agree with what Rachel said. Don't be afraid to fail. Don't be afraid to get out of your comfort zone. Try different things. Try things that you've never experienced before. I think it's also important to get a mentor. So you want, and it could be an advisor or a research, somebody you worked alongside in a research lab or a faculty member, but you really want to have an advocate, somebody in your corner who can be honest with you and, give you really good advice and help to, redirect you maybe when you get a little off path, but mostly be a cheerleader for you and establish that trust with that person. I think it's just so helpful to have a mentor and an advocate, and sometimes it happens organically. So just through an experience that, like with what everyone's saying, with all the different ways you should get involved. But I do think that's important too. The other
One piece of advice.
Sorry,
One piece of advice I got a long time ago by a now emeritus professor, Carl Furtman, in the School of Ed. He talked to me about career placement and career growth, and he gave me the advice that I should design my career around the lifestyle I want, and that you have to consider both your life and your career kind of as one thing, because we're whole people. And I think that's really good perspective, because I think oftentimes when we're in, especially graduate school, it tends to be our only focus. And then the next step for the next person kind of is transferred sometimes, at least for me, it was transferred as maybe the same step I should take. But we as individuals need to keep our kind of North Star defined for ourselves, and in that curiosity process that others have talked about so far, keeping ourselves on that same line and understanding what we want from the program and how we can leverage our resources to do that, I think has been really beneficial for me.
I completely agree with what everyone's been saying about really wanting to be curious, but also, like Tyler said, being mindful about the opportunities that you have and selecting ones that you think are going to propel you forward. And I would say that this is the perfect program to do so, because I have never heard anything but, yes, let me help you do this. Whenever I've come with ideas, I said I want to do research, and they went out of their way to help me find a lab to get me ready for the interview. I wanted to do something that had never been done before for my internship, and that's why I ended up at Star. This really is just such a department that's full of people who are encouraging and people who believe in you genuinely. And I think that really has helped me to get to where I am now. And I really would encourage everyone to just be a little curious and try and do something new, because they'll help you do it, even if it seems impossible or far away.
I will also add that if you go into your program with a set out plan and you kind of have these expectations for yourself, don't be afraid or nervous if those kind of go off track and you're led somewhere else. I never anticipated entering my undergraduate program that I would stay and pursue a master's degree in clinical exercise physiology, but I wasn't done learning from my undergrad, and I knew that I was meant to be there and I was meant to keep going and keep learning. So I would say, just remember, you will end up where you're meant to be.
We did have another question from the chat, everyone. It's from Isabel. How do you suggest an undergraduate ADP student get more involved directly? I'm looking for student organizations and opportunities around the area where I can get more experience to learn about what I do. Also, are there specific places I should go and look? I do know from Dr. Lee that there is a new ADP undergraduate student organization. So we can, Isabel, if you reach out, we can connect you with that person or the president or the leader of that for sure. But Rachel or Allison, any other suggestions?
Yeah, I was going to say the ADP club. That wasn't around when I was an undergrad, but I know a lot of people that are in it now and just think that's such a good experience. And their faculty advisor, Dr. Kiger Lee, has been my mentor for many years. So that would be a great one. I would also do a little bit of research about what professors that work in ADP are kind of researching right now, if they have any projects that are open, and maybe reach out to them directly and say if there's any that speak out to or stand out to you, kind of reach out to them and see if you could get involved. When I started research, I mean, I was doing like a very minor position, just doing like some data editing, like going through different files or things like that. But even getting a little bit of experience doing that is great. I would also say that there's a lot of ties between the ADP department and the community because of everyone having to complete a practicum. There's a lot of relationships that exist between faculty and the ADP department and community organizations in like a wide variety of fields. Allison and I did very different practicums. I know that. So there's kind of a wide variety of different organizations that somebody may be able to connect you to. So I'd recommend looking into those as well. And then just kind of also talking to other people in your cohort and seeing if they're doing anything that's really enhancing their experience or anything that they'd recommend. A lot of times if somebody took one student on, they may be open to another one. So I would also have those conversations with your peers and kind of see if there's anywhere you could tap in there.
Allison, anything to add? You good?
Yeah, I would say that the what is it? The Pitt Department of Psychiatry has a lot of really great research going on. And I think our developmental perspective is going to be something that's really valuable there. And I think you're going to be able to put a lot of the findings and kind of the research aims in context. I was able to work with the Youth and Family Research Program, and I know that they are always looking for undergraduate students who are interested to get involved. I was able to work on a project called the ABLE study, where we looked at the kind of the lifestyle choices and the environments surrounding adolescents who are diagnosed with ADHD and who are prescribed stimulant medication. And that really helped to inform my research interests, which now align around ADHD. And so I would say, and also the Pitt Department of Psychiatry has a research day every year, and they are open to letting students do poster presentations, which is something that can really help build your CV up for applying to doctoral programs, applying to PA school. Really just can give you a lot of great exposure and also help you expand your professional network. And so I would say that that is another really good resource to try, is the Department of Psychiatry.
Terrific, thank you. Well, this time has flown by and we might come back. We have a couple questions left, but we want to, I guess, take a minute to see if there's anybody. Isabel said thank you. If anyone else in the chat that wants to add a question real quick. We also have Tyler, a different Tyler, going to pop in and speak a little bit about admissions and provide some advice and see if there's any questions as well. Oh, one more question. Let's see. Let's take that. Can you all see that? In the health exercise physiology degree, is there an opportunity to work on obesity, both research and field, such as combination with healthcare agencies? This comes from Samuel. I can say that our current laboratory affiliated in our department with exercise physiology is not as obesity focused as it once was. However, we have a number of big studies going on looking at cardiovascular health that I think are welcoming students to get involved. And we do have connections in the hospitals still with medicine and a few other departments. Tyler, would you want to add to that in terms of connections for obesity research? Do you have any thoughts?
You're talking about me, Tyler, right?
Yes, you, Tyler. Sorry,
Yes,
Dr.
good.
Quinn.
Yeah, no, sorry. I just, anyway, yeah, I think I don't have anything to say specifically about the obesity piece, but I would just encourage you to make your interests known to your faculty. And my experience has been that the faculty at Pitt, in the department where exercise physiology, will find connections for you, right? If you have specific interests, make those clear. And the program is designed so that it can kind of work around your interests and support you however you need. And the good thing about being a student is you get to play the student card and get connections with maybe healthcare agencies as a student is much easier in many cases, because you can do observations and that sort of thing at that stage in your career. So just communicate what your interests are and what your needs are. And I am positive that the faculty will support you however they can to make that happen.
Last questions in the chat. Okay, with the other, oh, here we go. Oh, Sam said thank you. Samuel said thank you. Any other advice or comments from the group, from the alumni team? Advice in 5 words or less? Words of wisdom? Okay, well, it's been a pleasure to work with all of you today, and to the audience, we hope that we're able to provide a little insight into our experiences with HHD. We wish you all well, and please feel free to reach out to any one of us. And I guess I'll hand this over to Tyler. Thanks again, everyone.
Thank you so much. We're excited that you're considering potentially coming to Pitt. If you're already a person here at Pitt, we love that we're keeping you engaged. I'm putting a couple links into the chat itself. My name is Tyler Lamley. I am one of the admissions and recruiting counselors. I more so often work with the teaching, leading, and learning programs, but I have put contact information for our admissions counselor that works a lot with our HHD applicants. His name is Aaron Partnow. He is extremely knowledgeable on the HHD programs, and then so you have his link in there to kind of schedule a meeting with him if you have questions about the admissions process. Also his email address that you can just contact him directly. All the HHD programs applications are open for next fall already, and so we're accepting applications and already have received a few in each of the areas that HHD kind of oversees. We also have some virtual information sessions that are devoted more so to specific programs. So we had a question earlier in the Q&A about the EDD programs and whether health and physical activity or higher education would be a better fit. And we highly suggest that you attend potentially some EDD information sessions, because the faculty that kind of oversee the EDD program, plus my boss, Dr. Brazil, who oversees all of the doctoral candidates, she will be there in attendance as well to kind of answer those questions and provide some guidance in that way. But again, our applications are open, and if you have questions throughout the entire process, we're here to answer those. Feel free to use those links with Aaron. Also sign up for information sessions, and we're happy to answer any questions along the way. The other email I'll type in here real quick is just the general information line for the School of Education, which is overseen by our admissions offices. And so we're happy to answer the questions or direct them to the faculty if it's a faculty question, or to our student services team if there is a student service question as well. And I'll pass it on back to you.
All right. Well, thank you all for joining us today. We're really excited to hear from all of our alumni and get to, one, see all of them again. Particularly, I know that we have several student ambassadors on the call today. And so please just stay engaged with us as we continue to do different tips from alumni panels. This panel, if you miss any part of it, will be posted on YouTube soon. So please just continue to check our YouTube channel for the recording of this tips for alumni. But for now, continue to be on the lookout for more kind of engagement opportunities from our Health and Human Development Department. And we will see you next time. Thank you all for joining us.
Thanks, everyone.